Alright folks, Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 5. Let's talk about it. So, usual format, I'm just going to go through the episode starting off with U.S. Agent. In the beginning, you get him running, of course, from the scene of the crime. He's in what looks like a train station, I believe, if I remember correctly. And the show is doing a good job of showing us John Walker as his mind is deteriorating. He's becoming a madman who still thinks he's in the right. You know, he'll say lines like, why are you making me do this? Or, I am Captain America. Not the most subtle thing, but of course demonstrates effectively that he believes, he's trying to justify to himself that what he did was right. Maybe he actually believes it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just, in shock or whatnot. We learn, later that he's still defending himself, so I guess not. But he believes he's did the right thing. The fight itself is a great fight, a great moment for sure, especially when Falcon picks up that shield. That's pretty powerful with the score just coming to the forefront. But I still don't love the combat. The combat is one of my least favorite things about the show. Pretty quick cut and just generally doesn't seem to be, I'm not sure if it's a budget related issue, but it doesn't seem to be as well choreographed as other MCU content. And then you get a scene with Falcon and Torres. I gotta say, Torres, the army guy, his friend, still annoying. Don't like him. He's written pretty, just as much as just a comic relief, and I don't find that the actor particularly pulls it off very well. But that's just, a problem I have with him. And then you get these obvious repercussions for Walker's actions. We were all sort of wondering how they would go. I do think it's realistic that they, kicked him out because, of course, the world is demanding justice. So, it happened. And then at the, testimony in Congress, he's a hothead, spewing it off. We know this about him. And he says the line, "You built me." He's implying that he is what he is because of the U.S. government, because of the war in Afghanistan, I believe he said is where he was. And so he holds at least some resentment to the government. Could that play in later? Possibly. Likely. I'm going to say yeah. And again, you leave that scene where he's saying, I am Captain America. He truly believes it. So he will continue to pretend to be Captain America. And then you have in the most shocking moment of the episode, there was a cameo was sort of teased after last episode, and it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in the MCU now. Apparently she was supposed to first appear in Black Widow. So that's interesting. She obviously plays a bigger role in the MCU, not just, this quick little scene. But fascinating that she just walks in. She's obviously wants to help Walker out, wants to use him for some sort of goal she has. If she's in Black Widow, that means she's been around for a while, at least since the events of Civil War. And I'm interested to see how that plays out. Looks like a cool character. And then Karli is pretty delusional as well, and she's just been further radicalized by John's killing of... what was his name? I forgot his name, but of course of the Flag Smasher. And so she's saying things like Mama Donya, and then she says his name. I forgot it again. But these people, how many of these people need to die just so we can live on this planet? Which is a pretty ridiculous perspective because of course they are, or at least Karli is bombing buildings. So I'm not sure how you can claim that those lives are worth less than the lives you've lost, and therefore you're baffled that people are trying to make things right, I suppose. I don't know. Find justice. Pretty ridiculous worldview. And then you have a scene with Bucky and Zemo, and I was actually, for a split second there, I was thinking that Bucky might go off with Zemo and try and get Karli through Zemo's way, a little more violent, because Sam is, of course, more like Cap. He wants to do the right thing. He's a good man. Whereas Bucky's more of the soldier. So I was sort of expecting for half a second that they would go off and do their own thing. Falcon would go off and do his own thing, and it would be sort of they'd be fighting while both trying to get Karli, and just in different ways. But of course they did not go that route. Bucky does not kill Zemo, and Zemo is just probably gone from the show now. He just lets him walk off. I thought they were about to kill him. I really did in that moment. Obviously that's what they want you to think, and I was like, damn. About to say goodbye to Zemo. And then Io, I believe is, I don't believe anything. Is that how you pronounce her name? I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. But the Wakandan soldier, of course, says that they're going to take Zemo to the Raft, which has some Marvel precedence. I've heard it in the Spider-Man PS4 games, the PlayStation games. And it's a prison. I mean, it's a prison in New York on the water, and I'm wondering if that is the prison that the Wakandans are talking about. Is that where they're taking him? I find it odd that they wouldn't want Zemo in their custody this time, because he was broken out last time. But maybe they just want him somewhere, and so maybe they're taking him to the Raft, and they're officially establishing that as a location. And then Falcon shares a powerful scene with Isaiah Bradley. Of course, we met him in episode 2. And his story is reminiscent of, the Tuskegee experiment, which is, of course, a horrific event in American history where I believe, the military, World War II, if I'm not mistaken, injected Tuskegee Airmen, which was a group of black airmen, I believe, if I'm not wrong. I don't want to get anything wrong, so please correct me if I am wrong. But they injected them with harmful diseases, I believe, STDs, and conducted experiments on them, which is super messed up. And they focus on that here as well, and I think interesting parallel. And then they tease it a little bit. They use it as some fuel for jokes, but potential future for Sarah and Bucky, I'm gonna wager no, because I'll explain in a bit. Phase 4 is full of risks. You have WandaVision, which is a fake sitcom in the MCU, and now you have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where the two titular characters spent half the episode fixing a boat. So not something I ever thought I'd see, but I didn't hate it. You have John go apologize to Lamar's family, and then I question as well. Obviously, he thinks he's doing the right thing, but I wonder if he thinks that guy really was the guy who killed Lamar, and that's how he justifies it to himself, or if he's just lying about that. And then you find out that they really were good friends, and it does make it tragic. Of course, not that it wasn't a man died, but it does make it tragic. Not to say John Walker did the right thing. He did a horrible, absolutely incorrect thing. But it is a tragic loss nonetheless, as well as the Flag Smasher who died. Unfortunate losses on every side. Agent 13 is thrown in here for one quick scene. She makes a phone call. Didn't hear too much about it. I'm sure it's set up for next episode. And she's obviously very suspicious. I think they're trying to allude that she's the power broker, perhaps. But I feel like that'd be a bit of an inconsequential reveal unless they do it right. I expect she'll show up next episode, and a lot about that will be explained. I spoke about this in an earlier review. It might have actually been my first review, maybe second, maybe third, or maybe fourth, but it was one of them. And about Bucky and Sam's feelings about the shield are both valid. Neither of them are wrong in their opinions about the shield. Bucky obviously wants the legacy to live on. He is obviously very close to it, very attached to it. And Sam is also considering his own legacy and his, what it means to be a black Captain America in present day America. So they're both right. Neither of them are particularly wrong. Well, I don't want to say they're both right, but both of their opinions are valid. And this is the dynamic I love to see, them sort of bickering, still fun. That was what I expected most of the show would be. It didn't really turn out like that, but it's still great, I like it, the moments that we get of it. And then also there was someone on Twitter, sort of a viral tweet was going around about the potential last shot of the show, which is just Falcon walking off with the shield and Bucky going the other direction, sort of a sad ending. That could have been cool. I don't want to say I would have liked the MCU to do that, because of course I'm sure Feige knows better than me, but it would have been a cool little risky move to end the show on such a sad note. You have Bucky's arc set up for the future of the MCU really in this moment where he actually needs to make the amends in order to get better, in order to become, not the Winter Soldier. And his arc, it really is almost done. He's going to make these amends, probably not in the show, probably outside of it, and then his arc will be done. And you know what happens when someone's arc is done. Their story is finished, and eventually Bucky has to go, folks. Falcon, of course, has new reason to fight, MCU-wise, story-wise, not just, his actual character. But story-wise, it would not make sense for him to be killed off. Bucky, can't say the same. Not in the show. I'm not saying in the show, but expect it somewhat soon. You get a classic training montage for Sam. Good stuff, always love it. And then Bat-roc the Leaper is back. I was not expecting that, but it's great to see him. He'll obviously be in the next episode, and it's either jail for him, or he could even potentially die in the show. I don't see him having much of a future outside. He's never going to become a main villain, sort of like Crossbones. And Frank Grillo, who played him, was both in Winter Soldier and then Civil War, and that was sort of his final appearance, and I expect it to be somewhat similar. The GRC is so stereotypically evil in that little scene, talking about just shipping refugees off with like one click of a button. And then obviously the Flag Smashers plan is set. They are, kidnapping, maybe, holding them hostage. And Falcon and Bucky will both have to intervene there, but they obviously have a plan. They will be ambushed. Power Broker maybe gets involved, all that stuff. And then Falcon gets a look at his wings, but cut to black. Are they America colored? Probably, and that's why they didn't show us, because we will get to see it for the first time as they go and fight the Flag Smashers. Exciting stuff. And then you have the end credit scene with the U.S. agent, I can't even call him that anymore, John Walker, building his new shield. And there was a little moment in the trailer that actually showed that sort of makeshift shield, and I guess someone pointed that out, and they had a good eye because they were right. I guess he does make his own shield. Just regular metal, so obviously it won't fare up as well, or it looks like regular metal. Maybe the lady, forgot her name, gave him vibranium, but he'll probably show up next episode too. He will. I'll say this episode was great. It was a bit all over the place, a bit disjointed, but I still loved it. A great episode. Most of them have been really solid, and this is another one in that, and a long line of them. I sort of mentioned this already, but of course we have one episode left. Sam is gonna, I assume, find that lead on Karli because he told her he would, which is the GRC is gonna get taken over. Sam and Bucky will both show up to fight them, fight Bat-roc. I assume Sam will, because a little bit of a rematch from the beginning there. I assume that we don't know what's going to happen to the Flag Smashers by the end of the episode, if they will be recurring. I assume they will probably get arrested. That's my guess. Sam could potentially let Karli go. I don't think they'll die because, Sam wouldn't let that happen. So either Sam lets them go or puts them in jail, but he's not going to give up on them, right? So unless they die, which I don't see happening, probably in jail, I assume. And Sam will have this little conversation with Karli, a continuation, and maybe he even wins her over. Possible. Be a little cliche, but it's possible. Agent 13 and potentially the Power Broker have of course been set up. For some part in the finale, Walker will be there. I'm curious his role. Maybe he is just trying to redeem himself as Captain America, and he thinks if he can get Karli or the Flag Smashers that he can do that. And then Zemo is just gone. Wakanda is just gone. I expect neither of them to, turn up in the finale. And then I talked a bit about Bucky's future after this. Sam will of course be Captain America. I assume he'll don that little costume next episode, and he will continue to be outside of the MCU. Not sure when they'll both show up again. Actually, give me a sec. I'm going to look up their schedule. I'm going to see if I can predict the MCU schedule. I'm going to see if I can predict when they might show up. So, looking at Phase 4, I'm not sure if either of them will show up for some time. Even as cameos. Black Panther 2, if it deals with Zemo, could potentially have Bucky is more intertwined with Zemo than Sam is. But none of these others, I'll just read them for you. Maybe you tell me if you think I'm wrong. Black Widow, I don't think so. But it will have that one lady. Shang-Chi, no. Eternals, no. Spider-Man, possible. Doctor Strange, probably not. Thor, no. Black Panther, possibly. Captain Marvel 2, probably not. I don't see that happening. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, no. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, no. Blade, no. Fantastic Four, no. And then the shows as well. Loki, no. What If, no. Oh, well, yeah, but it doesn't count. Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Ironheart could have either. Secret Invasion might have them too. Armor Wars, I Am Groot. Oh, I don't think I Am Groot will have them. But, folks, that seems to be the future of these characters in the MCU. I'm interested to see where the last episode takes it, obviously, as are all of you probably watching this. I'm excited. All right, folks, I think that about sums it up. I've been EDPC Reviews. You've been amazing. Come back next week. We'll talk the last episode. I'll tell you where it fits into my MCU ranking, into my MCU list. So if you want to see that, come back. Folks, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.